Et si la location de sites événementiels de luxe pendant les JO de 2024 était une bonne opportunité pour les marques, même les plus petites? Les Jeux olympiques auront lieu dans à peine 6 mois et je me demandais dans quelle mesure ils constituaient une chance pour les marques et lesquelles. Pour le savoir, j'ai invité Tania Bencheva, PDG et fondatrice de Native Spaces, à partager ses réflexions à ce sujet. Lorsque j'ai contacté Tania pour la première fois, j'étais loin d'imaginer qu'il existait autant d'options pour les petites marques. C'est sans doute une
Surtout,
occasion
n'oubliez
à
pas
saisir
de
et
mettre
nos
une
lecteurs
bonne
vont
note à ce
certainement y réfléchir.
podcast si vous l'avez apprécié.
Bonjour et bienvenue dans les podcasts de Visionary Marketing. Le sujet du jour, JO 2024 à Paris, les sites événementiels de luxe sont une bonne affaire pour toutes les marques, nous dit Tania Bencheva, PDG de Native Spaces. Quelles sont les attentes à 6 mois des Jeux ? C'est certainement un événement très excitant, nous dit Tania Bencheva. J'espère vraiment pour tout le monde et pour le monde entier qu'il sera aussi important que nous l'espérons, car nous avons tous besoin d'un rappel des valeurs rassemblées par les Jeux olympiques de 2024. Je ne saurais dire avec quelle précision sera l'ampleur de cet événement, nous dit-elle, mais il y a beaucoup d'attentes et d'effervescence. Ce que nous savons avec certitude, par exemple, c'est que de nombreux propriétaires nous ont contactés pour monétiser leur lieu événementiel et leur propriété par le biais de ce grand événement. Les raisons pour lesquelles une marque devrait se préoccuper des sites événementiels de luxe et des Jeux olympiques, nous dit-elle, sont nombreuses. Des millions de personnes venant du monde entier et disposant d'un niveau de revenu élevé séjourneront à Paris pendant les Jeux olympiques. Il s'agit donc d'une excellente occasion de s'offrir de la visibilité. De plus, nous dit-elle, ces personnes partageront du contenu avec leur communauté, ce qui ajoutera d'autres millions à ces audiences. Enfin, évidemment, les jeux sont télévisés, ce qui génère énormément d'auditeurs supplémentaires. Il s'agit donc d'une opportunité incroyable, nous dit Tania, de développer la notoriété d'une marque et au-delà, de susciter de l'engagement client. Il serait donc absurde, nous dit-elle, de ne pas profiter de cet événement pour obtenir plus de visibilité. Alors, est-ce que cet événement est uniquement fait pour les grandes marques renommées ? Je pense, nous dit Tania, que les marques peuvent toutes en bénéficier de différentes manières. C'est une occasion unique de faire de la publicité à l'échelle internationale. Les marques établies peuvent rassembler leurs fans qui seront déjà sur place pour les Jeux olympiques, ce qui leur permettra d'accroître l'engagement client. Il y a cependant des secteurs particuliers qui seraient plus enclins à profiter de cette visibilité. Tout ce qui a trait au sport, nous dit-elle, mais aussi peut-être à l'habillement et les marques grand public. Cela dit, les Jeux olympiques ne se limitent pas au sport, il s'agit d'un événement majeur qui repose sur des valeurs positives auxquelles toute marque peut vouloir être associée. Je pense donc, nous dit Tania, que toute entreprise peut essayer de trouver des moyens créatifs de s'aligner sur l'esprit olympique. Mais si je vendais des bâches en plastique, pourrais-je aussi prendre le train en marche ? C'est possible, nous dit-elle. Il existe toujours des moyens créatifs d'attirer l'attention du public. Les Jeux olympiques de Paris mettent l'accent sur le développement durable, par exemple. Cela pourrait vous inspirer, mais vous devriez le faire avec authenticité. Si vous n'êtes pas imprégné de ces valeurs, il sera plus difficile d'aligner votre marque sur elles. Et toutes les marques, B2B ou B2C, peuvent en profiter. Les entreprises B2B peuvent également utiliser ce type d'événement non seulement pour se faire connaître, nous dit Tania Bencheva, mais surtout pour accorder une attention particulière à leurs clients les plus importants. Elles peuvent par exemple inciter leurs principaux clients à se joindre à elles dans leur salon privé. Elles peuvent les inviter dans des lieux exceptionnels surplombant certains sites sportifs ou dans des appartements somptueux donnant sur la Seine. Ils peuvent également inviter leurs clients à assister à la cérémonie d'ouverture dans un environnement spécialement conçu pour eux. Et ce que nous avons remarqué, c'est que les prix sont parfois tout à fait raisonnables et abordables pour tous. Alors comment les marques, et en particulier les marques moins connues, se distinguent-elles de la masse ? Il n'est pas nécessaire de dépenser des milliards pour attirer votre public, nous dit Tania, car il existe de nombreux moyens créatifs de créer des expériences personnalisées. Les jeunes se sentent plus à l'aise, par exemple, dans des petits groupes et des communautés très spécialisées, nous dit-elle, et les marques sont de plus en plus enclines à le reconnaître. Des espaces intimes ou remarquables, dédiés à des événements ou des expériences qui conviennent aux petits groupes. Cela demande de la préparation, et plus la surprise est grande, plus l'expérience est unique, plus l'impact est important, nous dit-elle. Je choisirais un lieu dont l'authenticité, si elle devait le faire pour elle, pour une petite société, nous dit Tania, qui correspond aux valeurs de ma marque. Ma marque est-elle très numérique ou expérientielle? À quoi ressemble mon public? Je choisirais un lieu qui reflète la personnalité de cette audience. Il peut s'agir d'un lieu accueillant, s'il s'agit d'une petite marque où l'esprit de communauté est très important, ou d'un lieu qui sort complètement de l'ordinaire, par exemple. Une marque comme Jacquemus, qui organise des événements dans de vastes espaces naturels. Il n'est pas toujours judicieux d'investir beaucoup d'argent dans des lieux d'exception avec vue sur la tour Eiffel. Il existe d'autres moyens, nous dit-elle. Mais le buzz créé avant, pendant et après l'événement permet également à la marque d'étendre sa visibilité. Alors qu'en est-il des événements en ligne et hybrides qui devaient révolutionner le monde pendant le Covid ? Je pense que l'on ne se rend pas vraiment compte de l'ampleur comprise des événements hybrides, nous dit Tania Bencheva. D'ailleurs, nous ne les appelons plus ainsi. Les entreprises ont compris que par essence, le public d'un événement est par nature hybride. On ne parle cependant plus de la même sorte d'événements hybrides, nous dit-elle. Au début, nous essayions de proposer le même contenu dans le même format à tous nos publics en ligne, par exemple en diffusant des conférences en continu. Cela n'a pas vraiment eu d'écho auprès de nos publics, nous dit-elle. Le public en ligne consomme le contenu différemment. Il s'agit de personnes différentes qui appartiennent à des segments différents de ceux qui seront présents sur place. Il est possible que ces deux populations aient été mélangées pendant les années Covid parce qu'elles n'avaient pas d'autre choix que d'être en ligne, nous dit-elle. Mais les attentes de ces publics sont très différentes aujourd'hui. Souvent, ceux qui participent en ligne sont ceux qui n'auraient pas été présents en personne. Il faut donc les considérer différemment. Nous avons également assisté à une évolution significative, nous dit-elle, des plateformes de gestion d'événements. Ce qui est possible de faire en ligne aujourd'hui et la manière dont on peut diffuser ce contenu hybride sont incroyables. En outre, même les personnes qui sont physiquement présentes vivent un événement hybride. Ils assistent à l'événement sur place et sont connectés en même temps. Ils s'engagent avec les marques et les autres utilisateurs sur leur téléphone. C'est une expérience omnicanale. Alors pouvez-vous nous donner un exemple ? Récemment, nous dit Tania, j'ai assisté à une grande conférence technologique pour les startups et les investisseurs à Helsinki. Les organisateurs ont fait un travail remarquable, nous dit-elle, en réunissant les mondes virtuels et physiques. Les participants ont pu organiser leurs réunions à la volée grâce à l'application, où qu'ils soient et sur place. Les lieux de réunion ont été géolocalisés grâce à l'application, etc. Le numérique a véritablement contribué à la réussite d'un événement d'une telle ampleur. Et voici maintenant l'intégrale de notre interview en anglais.
So I'm here with Tania Bencheva. You're the CEO and founder of Native Spaces. Hi, Tania. Now going to talk about the Olympic Games in Paris, which are 6 months ahead from now. This is a very exciting event, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A very exciting event. We're yet to discover what's it going to be like. I really hope for everybody and for the world that it's going to be as big as we expect it to be, because obviously the world is a little bit in need of a reminder of the values that the Olympic Games stand by. So I think, and I hope honestly that it's going to be a big event as we expect.
Okay, so now the $200 million question. How successful do you think it's going to be from a business point of view?
I don't think I'm legitimate to make such a prediction. Obviously, it's a very, very interesting event to benefit from. So it would be a no-brainer to use that event to get more visibility. Now, how big it will be, for now, we couldn't say. We know that there is a lot of expectation. There's a lot of buzz. We know on our side as a platform that a lot of property owners are coming to us in an accelerated rate to try and monetize their properties and venues via this big event. But for now, we cannot predict.
Yes, predictions are very hard. But okay, talking about brands, since you mentioned that, why should a brand bother about the Olympic Games at all?
Well, so there are many reasons why. Some of them are pretty obvious. There will be millions of people arriving in one place. People with to watch the games, to be present during that event. People from all over the world and with a certain level of income to be staying in Paris during the Olympic Games and so on. We know very well that the prices are very high. So it's an excellent opportunity to be visible for those people who are there. But not only that, we know that these people who are there, then they share with their communities, which adds other millions of people. And then obviously the games are televised to billions of people. So it's an incredible opportunity to get visibility, to build brand awareness, but then beyond that also build engagement beyond awareness. So really make an attempt to connect with your fans and communities who will all be in one place at the same time. So it's an incredible opportunity to make the most of that.
Could we venture to say that it's an obligatory path for a brand wanting to be noticed?
As I said, I don't think it is obligatory. I think it's a no-brainer. Basically, it is true that traditionally we would think of that as very, very expensive because it's the Olympic Games and being a sponsor is very expensive. Advertising space is very expensive. But nowadays there are more creative ways to get visibility. So even a small brand or with smaller budgets stands to benefit from that visibility. For example, on native spaces, some spaces start from 500 euros per day in price, and this is incomparable with the fees you need to pay for advertising space. And it's an incredible opportunity to bring together your fans in a more intimate space, to create a special experience, to create an opportunity for them to share beyond, obviously, the physical space. So I think brands stand to benefit. It is not obligatory, but it is rather a good opportunity.
Okay, and it's not just for those with big dosh, it's also for new brands rather than just established brands. Everybody can benefit from that.
I think they can benefit just differently as well. I mean, a new brand will be more focused probably on awareness. Also, we undermine the fact that international advertising can be very expensive, and now that's a unique opportunity to advertise internationally. Established brands can bring together their fans. So basically they will already be in town, let's say for the Olympics, so they can go beyond that and make sure to increase engagement.
Is it for every kind of industry, or are there particular sectors that are more adapted to that kind of events and sports?
There are particular sectors that would be more easy, so the advertising or the events will be easier to imagine, as we can imagine sport brands or anything that has to do with sports, and also maybe apparel and consumer brands. But that being said, the Olympic Games is so much more than just sport. It's a huge event that is based on very positive values that any brand might want to associate themselves with, of course, in an authentic way, if possible. And the games create such a buzz worldwide, even amongst people who are not necessarily sport fans, that any brand will find, if they are creative, can find ways to benefit from that and to associate themselves with the values such as friendship and tolerance and excellence and so on. So I think any brand may try to find creative ways to align themselves with the Olympic Games.
So it means that basically if I'm selling plastic tarpaulins, then I can really look forward to using this event and advertise my plastic tarpaulins to everyone.
You can. There are always creative ways to be found. Attention, the Paris Olympic Games have a special focus on sustainability. So, of course, as I mentioned, we need to be careful to do that in an authentic way. So if we don't live and breathe certain values, I guess it would be more difficult to align ourselves with those games.
I suppose it's a bit more difficult for plastic tarpaulins. But if we get back to more mundane things like B2C and B2B, is it also for B2B companies?
Absolutely. B2B companies, it's very interesting. I mean, the way B2B companies use this kind of events, they can be used to not only for visibility, but mostly to recompensate or rather show special attention to big clients. So, for example, we have seen it with the special lounges that are created during sporting events and so on. So obviously, they can invite their clients. But if they can invite their clients in an environment that is branded their way, so let's say in a unique location or something where that overlooks, for example, we have some venues, some apartments that overlook the Seine. So you can imagine that they can invite their clients to watch the opening ceremony, and in an environment that may be branded with their brand. So these people will then either invite their friends and colleagues, feel very special, increase business with that brand. So I don't think it is reserved for B2C brands, because certainly the people present will be both B2C and B2B buyers. And even more so, they're more likely to be more, at ease and open-minded to engage in a more I can think of the word in French, décontracté, like in a more informal manner with the brand.
Okay, I hear everything you say, but how do brands, and especially lesser-known ones, stand up from the crowd?
Well, as I said, you don't need to spend billions to engage your audiences, because there are many creative ways to create a very personalized experiences. And so we see nowadays that, Gen Z, but let's say young people, are more and more better engaged in like closed groups and in very niche communities. And so brands basically are more and more starting to recognize this. So more, let's say, intimate spaces, unique spaces for those events or experiences that will bring them in small groups. And that the fact that they will be in a small group doesn't mean that you're not, as a brand, you're not going to get visibility, because obviously the more special people feel, the more they share. But also all these special events, there is a big buzz around them before the event, during the event, and after the event on social media, in those closed groups, in those special niche communities and so on. So the more the more they prepare, the bigger the surprise during the physical experience, the more likely they are to create impact.
So let's assume you're a small business like Visionary Marketing, for instance, and you want to attract people's attention. And what kind of venue would you choose?
Yeah, well, I would probably think about what my brand stands for. What is very authentic to my brand? Is it a brand that is very digital? Is it a brand that is very experiential? What is it that my audience is like? And I would choose the venue or the space so that it reflects the personality of my audience. So it might be, let's say, a homey place. For example, if this is a small brand where the communities are very close together, it might be something completely out of the ordinary. Like, for example, I don't know, thinking of Jacques Mousse now, like who will just do their activations out in nature, in huge spaces. So, but in any case, there will be a very selected community who is invited, but the buzz created before, during, and after the event is so large scale that it doesn't matter that the community is very restricted who is coming there. So really, for brands, it's very important to think about what are their brand values, how do they want people to see them, and then select the right place. It's not always the right solution to just splash money on a very, exceptional place that will overlook the Eiffel Tower. Not necessarily. Now, of course, for the Olympic Games, we have to take into consideration that those monuments will become also the monuments of the Olympic Games. So maybe they also want to have this kind of context.
But if we're going to come back to my example, actually being Visionary Marketing, and we being very digital, in fact. So what would you choose then?
Let's see. What, sometimes we try to choose places that are very modern and out there, with a mix between modern and old, and have a monument in view and have the whole feeling. Like, for example, us as a digital company, we always try to have a mix between old and new, and a story behind it, because that's what people come to us for, the uniqueness and the story. So in visionary marketing, I would imagine that the place needs to be very, very creative. Like I would probably go for a gallery where the art is aligned with digital, with something more forward looking. I mean, now there are NFT galleries, for example, in Paris, you could do something like that.
That's a pretty good idea. Well,
we need to
I'll take your word for it then. When you're mentioning events, is all this applicable also to virtual or hybrid events, or is it the end of hybrid events and virtual events? But for 4 years we had nothing else. Now it seems like we're back into the real world.
Absolutely. I think people don't realize, but all events have become hybrid events. Now we have evolved. Hopefully not all of us, but we have evolved in the way we think about hybrid events. We don't call them hybrid events anymore, because people have realized that basically the audience, that's super important. But any good event is a hybrid event, because you would have to engage your audiences that are there online, and those who are there during the event, those who are who are consuming your content before the event, during the event, after the event. But we have evolved in the way we think about hybrid events, because if before, or in the beginning, we were trying to push the same content in the same format to our online audiences, for example, streaming, linear, and so on, that really didn't resonate well with us, because we need to understand that the audiences online, not only they will consume the content differently, but they're different people. So it's different segments. Those who are not going to come physically, in fact, are those who stay online. Maybe during COVID and just after, we had a mix between the two, because even those who would have otherwise came physically were staying online. So there was a mix. But nowadays, those who can come physically, they come physically. And those who are online are just different people. So the audience's expectations are very different. Not only the experience that you need to deliver, but you need to think about that these are different audiences, different segments.
You mean different people? I mean, they're not real people. They are plastic or something.
They're absolutely real people. But let's take me and our CTO. Like, I like physical experiences. I will be there for the physical experience. And it's extremely important, this connection. And our CTO, for example, he loves organizations that are completely remote, and he has the ways of doing that. He loves his flexibility and ability to tune in, tune out, etc. So we have very different values, ways of behaving, and different expectations. So it's no longer me who is stuck at home, so I would consume the content the same way because I'm the same person. No. Now those who are online are those who wouldn't have come physically. So you need to think about them differently when we prepare. So now, I mean, we have also seen an evolution in platforms for delivering those events. They really, it's incredible what you can do now online, and how you can deliver that mix. And even people who are physically there are living a hybrid event, because I imagine sometimes I'm there physically, but I'm also checking what's going on somewhere respective to the event, or I'm engaging on my phone and so on. It's an omni-channel experience, no matter what.
Now you're talking, actually. What's so amazing about hybrid events that you could tell us about? I mean, give us some examples.
Examples of how they can be done well and bad, I guess. Wow. What to say? The beginning of hybrid events was there were all these networking tools where they would start to put us in like a video call with random people and so on to try and replicate the random conversation that happens on a physical event. To me personally, it was like a big failure because it is definitely not like the physical event, and people just randomly put in a video conference together are not at the same ease and in the same context because the context. So, for example, even just the venue, the way it's decorated, the place, the story, and so on would be a conversation starter. But without a conversation starter, just put online like this, that's very complicated. So you have to recognize this when you do hybrid events.
Okay.
Yeah, as I said, nowadays it's amazing what happens at events. Like recently, I was at a big conference in Helsinki, and it's called Slush. is the conference for the tech world, for startups and investors and so on. And it's incredible what the world that they can create that is both physical and digital at the same time, and people are able to organize their meetings on the fly, just meet and find themselves with the app somewhere in the venue. The places for meetings are not meeting rooms like you're standing, but you're finding yourself with the geolocalization of the app and so on. So the digital is really helping those events be more successful.
Surtout, n'oubliez pas de mettre une bonne note à ce podcast si vous l'avez apprécié.